I love that guitar. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is your host, Adam Crigler, here on my own show, Adamcast IRL. Hello there. Thanks for tuning in today. It is a wonderful day, isn't it? Why? Because you're alive. You're here. You're watching my show. Just, put them all together. It's a good way of living, if you ask me. You know what? I think this calls for a good little spinning of the UFO. That's right. Normally I do that at the end of the show or later on, but some days require a good spin to get things going, right? Are you with me? If you're with me, smash that like button. Smash that like button. That's right, because that's what makes the UFO go round. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Today we got a fun show. We're going to talk about the origin story of Valentine's Day. Now, I touched on it a little bit on Friday with some silly hearts that Dr. Jill Biden put on the White House lawn, but I didn't get into what Valentine's Day was, and I want to talk about it. I got a couple things to read about what that is. Then we're going to talk about the big Texan chill. Right now, I think every single county, I don't know if it still is as of this moment, but every single county had a winter warning. I think it was the first time ever. And so we're going to talk about that, what's going on with this crazy weather that's going on. And it's not just in Texas. It's in Europe, too, all over the place. Things are freezing, which is causing, the defenders of fossil fuels to call out the people who are like green energy, and it's kind of an interesting battle. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about this whole stupid fake, the Democrats basically brought in fake evidence. They doctored tweets, they doctored Trump's speech to make it seem worse than it was in such a blatant way. I don't understand how they're getting away with it, and it's kind of obnoxious, and I want to talk about that because that's the Dems lies. Now the war on race, this is something I talk about often. How silly it is that it's such a prominent thing anyway. But man, they are just attacking white people, and they're at it again. Math is racist, white supremacy. And also, what else was it? Honestly, they just wrote this list out, and everyone's talking about it. So I had to talk about it because it is ridiculous. Then I want to get into something really exciting. I freaked out a little bit because it's exactly what I was saying. So I have space, right? But it's more accurately, I want to talk about space propulsion because there's one push that's pushing for nuclear energy, right? And I always believed, and I think one day we'll unlock the ability to manipulate gravity. Now, I think there's a lot of talk about what gravity is, and to get into the depths of it. Well, I feel like I could start talking about it. It's very easy to get me carried away talking about this kind of stuff, but magnetics and gravitational energy, I feel, are very hand in hand, if not could be the same. And there's a study that there's basically two studies. One's going for nuclear propulsion in space, and the other is using magnetic energy as a propulsion system. And I think this is, I thought it was really cool, so I'm really excited to talk about it. I am going to talk about also the Artemis missions that are coming up, and also Perseverance that is set to land in 3 days. So in 3 days, I may actually do some sort of a special live something. I don't know actually when they're actually going to show it versus when it actually is happening. I'm not really sure, but I'm really excited about it because we are landing a nuclear-powered rover with a helicopter, a rotary helicopter drone. First time we've ever done this on another planet. It's very exciting. The ability to explore Mars is just going to explode once Perseverance lands. So I'm going to do kind of a, go over what it is. I mean, this thing is incredible. It's super heavy. It's got its own custom landing, rocket helicopter system, or not helicopter, but like a rocket drop system. It's really cool. So I'm going to go over it. Very excited about it. All right. So before we do, just remember, if you want to get some delicious coffee, check out criglercoffee.com. I got some delicious beans up on there. I love my beans. And then also, if you want to send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, I will send you a signed sticker from my sticker box that's here. I have a P.O. box that you can send me stuff if you want, but I'm really enjoying this. Lots of people I think over 40 different people have sent me envelopes, and I've been sending them out, signed stickers. It's really cool to give out these stickers, because that's really because when I was a pro skater, when I was working at a skate shop, I used to paint boards actually in a shop in Brooklyn for Bustin' boards. And giving out stickers was one of the best things. And actually that was how I convinced a lot of my students when I was running a skate school to try a trick that they were like, nah, I don't know if I could do it. And I was like, well, maybe I'll give you this dope sticker. And they're like, all right, for that sticker, I'm definitely going to attempt this trick. And it tended to work. So it was pretty good. And, you know, I love giving out stickers. So it's kind of fun to give out stickers. So if you'd like a sticker from me signed, I will send it to you. Just send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to my P.O. Box, P.O. Box 68, Brunswick, Maryland, 21716. Right on. All right. So let's get into who is Saint Valentine? Because it's actually a person with an interesting story behind it. And it goes back. Here, I got this History Channel here. 6 surprising facts about Saint Valentine. Well, who was he? And there's actually, it says right here, it says it might be 2 different people, but I think it's all the same. Officially recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, Saint Valentine is known to be a real person who died around AD. Well, I like to do CE, Common Era, CE 270. However, his true identity was questioned as early as CE 496 by Pope Gelasius I, who referred to the martyr and his act as being known only to God. One account from the 1400s described Valentine as a temple priest who was beheaded near Rome by the Emperor Claudius II for helping Christian couples wed. In fact, it was young Christian couples. It wasn't just a blanket Christian couples. It was couples that were too young to legally get married but wanted to get married. He would marry them. So he was actually basically martyred because he was bringing people together. And I don't know what the age of what would be too young in I don't know, the early, 2,000 years ago, basically. 1,500, 1,400, 1,600, whatever. It's a long time. A couple thousand years. Let's see. A different account claims Valentine was the bishop of Tierney, also martyred by Claudius II on the outskirts of Rome. Because of the similarities of these accounts, it's thought that they may refer to the same person. Enough confusion surrounds the true identity of Saint Valentine that the Catholic Church discontinued liturgical veneration of him in 1969. Though his name remains on the list of official recognized saints. So I found out, I'm not sure if I thought it was going to tell about this story, but so when he was locked up, he actually fell in love with the jailer's daughter and was writing love notes to her and wooed her, essentially. And in his final note, wrote to her that, he'll always be there. Well, goodbye. It was a pleasure to meet you, but from your Valentine. His name was Valentine. And thus the first Valentine message was written. In all, there are a dozen St. Valentines, plus a pope. The saint we celebrate on St. Valentine's Day is known officially as St. Valentine of Rome in order to differentiate him from the dozen or so other Valentines on the list. Because Valentines, from the Latin word for worthy, strong, or powerful, was a popular moniker between the 2nd and 8th centuries AD. Several martyrs over the centuries have carried this name. The official Roman Catholic roster of saints shows about a dozen who were named Valentine or some variation thereof. And the most recently beatified Valentine is Saint Valentine Barrio Ocho, a Spaniard of the Dominican order who traveled to Vietnam, where he served as bishop until his beheading in 1861. Pope John Paul II canonized Barrio Ocho in 1988. There was even a Pope Valentine, though little is known about him except that he served a mere 40 days around 827 CE. Valentine is the patron saint of beekeepers and epilepsy, among other things. Saints are certainly expected to keep busy in the afterlife. Their holy duties include interceding in earthly affairs and entertaining petitions from living souls. In this respect, Saint Valentine has wide-ranging spiritual responsibilities. People call on him to watch over the lives of lovers, of course, but also for interventions regarding beekeeping and epilepsy, as well as the plague, fainting, and traveling. As you might expect, he also is the patron saint of engaged couples and happy marriages. Now, this is what I found interesting. They straight up have his skull. Listen to this. The flower-adorned skull of Saint Valentine is on display in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedian, Rome. In the early 1800s, the excavation of a catacomb near Rome yielded skeletal remains and other relics now associated with Saint Valentine. As is customary, these bits and pieces of the late saint's body have subsequently been distributed to reliquaries around the world. You'll find other bits of Saint Valentine's skeleton on display in the Czech Republic, Ireland, Scotland, England, and France. It's a little weird. I got to be honest. You're supposed to lay them to rest? So, you found an actual saint. You canonized him. He's a saint. You found his bones. Let's split them up and display them in pieces all around the world. It's a little weird to me. I mean, I'm not the most religious person, but that's kind of messed up. All right, that's kind of messed up. And it's interesting because there's actually a Saint Valentina also. Check this out. Saint Valentina, she was from Palestine. She was small and known for wearing old, worn-out clothing. One day she was with her friend Thea. They joined a group of Christians gathered to hear the Holy Scriptures. Local officials broke up the meeting, grabbed Thea, and tortured her. Valentina yelled, "How long will you torment my sister?" When the thugs heard her, they grabbed her too. Valentina was dragged away to be burned on an altar which had already been prepared for the heathens. Kicking the altar with her feet, she knocked it over. Then Valentina and Thea were tied together and burnt alive. This is, it's crazy. They died for their faith, and yeah, it's crazy how these witch hunts in the past are. People don't think about it. So, now that you know a little bit of the history of Saint Valentine, the many different saints of Valentine, now think about what Valentine's Day is. It's a buy your lover stuff day. Prove to your lover that they are worth something to you. See, this is what I have issues with. If you really are with someone, you should be telling them all the time how amazing they are, and they you. If it's a solid relationship, it's having a good partner is something that you should cherish. And I started my show by saying it's a good day because you're alive, you're awake, you're here, you're conscious, you're sentient. But if you have a partner that you love and adore, then you should tell that person as much as possible. I do myself. I have an amazing partner. She's incredible. I would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for her. I mean that fully. Seriously, I would be somewhere, but it's not here. It's not in the state that the growth that I've had over the past many years that we've been together. So I try to tell her, I don't need a day, let alone something that has nothing to do with being a Hallmark holiday, buying flowers and chocolates and all sorts of stuff probably made in China, if you really want to be honest with it. Look, if you're with somebody, be grateful for them and tell them right now. Seriously, take a break, send a text to someone you love. It doesn't even have to be your partner, just someone you love, and tell them I appreciate you. You know why? Because that goes a long way. They might be having a bad day, and they will feel better just by doing that. I guarantee it. I'm telling you, that's the truth. If you give someone a nice, pleasant, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, I'm grateful for you. That means so much. And some people may need it that you don't even realize. And you know what? On that note, I'm grateful for you. Because you show up for me. You're listening to my show. You're here right now. And I wouldn't be here without you either. You know, I always want to give thanks when I can. And that's what we all should do. And that's what a lot of people out there aren't doing. Right? They have no idea what they have. But recognizing what you have when you have it is a lost art that we should bring back. We got to bring it back. The society, electricity. Look at what's going on in Texas right now. It's like a third of Texas is out of power. Just straight out of power. They're not a state that's used to ice storms. So the fact that they're out of power, they're freezing. It's like 0 degrees in Texas. It's kind of weird. You know what? Let's just jump to that story. Let me just move some of this stuff out of the way so I can jump right to it. Look at this story. I'm just going to move that to the back. February is expected to be warmer than average across much of the U.S., and that trend may continue into early spring. Wait a minute. This tweet did not age very well, did it? Bam! Every single county. This is a once-in-a-generation winter event. Seriously, look at this. Every county in Texas is under a winter storm warning. Look at that. Never seen that. In fact, I've got a friend of mine who's in Texas. He sent me some photos. Look at this. This is his out in his, backyard. This is his hammock. Snow, icicles. This is Texas? What? Just 4 days ago, there was 100-car pileup. Over, I think 6 people died. People, they're not used to this kind of weather. So it's definitely a tragedy to see this kind of thing because, they're running out of power. Where's that power grid? I have this power grid tweet. Check this out. Here's the power grid in Texas right now. All of these outages. 25% of Texas households are without power right now. Right? This is crazy. People they're not prepared for this. And now we've got, all of conservative Twitter's like, see, green energy doesn't work. There's a point where you got to be like, look, you shouldn't be stooping down to people's levels. I told you so. That attitude, I don't think it's a good look on anyone. I don't really like it. I try not to go there myself. Everyone's guilty of it sometimes. I'm sure I have done it in the past, and I will probably do it again. But it's still something that's like, like this crash sucks. Look at that. Man, I can't believe what's going on right there. So now we got these tweets that are going around. Look, a helicopter running on fossil fuel, spraying a chemical made from fossil fuels onto a wind turbine made with fossil fuels during an ice storm is awesome. I mean, what's your point? Look, I want to get off fossil fuels. I don't want to be on fossil fuels. I would rather figure out a way that we didn't have to dig anything out of the earth. And really, if we're going to do solar panels, that's a lot. That's a strain on the earth. We still got to make all the solar panels, and they don't break down either. You can't, it's wasteful also. Same with these the wind turbines. Every single way you put it. Greta Thunberg. How dare you? Yeah, but you can't just transfer over. So I understand the need to, wean our society off of fossil fuels. Like, look at what's going on all over the place. Check this out. Winter storm causes frozen turbines. So they're straight up frozen. So they're not working. They're not producing any energy. Look at this. Even in Greece, blanketed in heaviest snowfall in 12 years. This is over in Germany. Look at that. Germany is held up as the world's solar and wind capital by renewable levies, but Germans are freezing due to winter of millions of solar panels blanketed in snow and turbines sitting idle. We have to figure out a better way. This is not the answer. I mean, it seems good on paper. It sounds good. Solar energy, wind energy. Well, what happens when you have a place in Texas that, say, they have a whole solar panel set up and wind turbines, and the turbines freeze and the solar panels are covered in snow, and then people freeze to death? There needs to be some, like a backup, I guess, or a system set in place. I've had space experts on my show talking about how they want to make a solar array in geosynchronous orbit that sends down energy. Now, will that energy go through, a crazy storm with lots of clouds? Is that energy safe? Is it always going to be available to us? And they're saying that they're planning on doing that over the biggest cities on the planet, like the top 200 cities or something. But what about the people out in the country? Like, think about Texas. It's got a couple big towns or cities. Dallas, Houston, Austin, I guess, is getting pretty big. And what about the people out in the countryside? Sorry, you don't have power anymore. You're going to freeze. These people are freezing right now. So, but, what is causing it? Is it global warming? Is it not global warming? It's this argument that people keep arguing about. Look, the world is getting warmer. There's no denying that. We're definitely messing up the biodiversity on this planet, killing ecosystems off. The ocean itself is being slowly changed over the years. Like, we are changing this planet. There's no denying that. I'm not trying to deny it. I know, I see it happening. But then there's all these people that are like, well, climate change isn't real. Something's happening though, right? We're still, well, how is it getting, so people are explaining it with a polar vortex. Where is this? I got this article here. What is the polar vortex? Look at this. And how is it linked to climate change? This is an attempt to explain it all. Of course, this has a dope Chicago shot, my hometown right there. All right, so first, what is a polar vortex? As the name suggests, the polar vortex is found around the North Pole. It's a band of strong winds high up in the atmosphere that keeps bitterly cold air locked around the Arctic region. This circulation isn't considered a single storm or even a weather pattern as such. Why is it affecting the U.S.? Occasionally, the vortex can become distorted and meander far further south than normal. The phenomenon has widely known to Americans during a particularly frigid spell in 2014 when the media first started using the term polar vortex. It was also a factor in the bomb cyclone that battered the U.S. East Coast last year. This article is, in fact, from 2019, just to give a little bit of a reference point there. So it was from 2018 that the cyclone hit. This time, the polar vortex has broken in two, bringing the coldest conditions in decades to the Midwest U.S. On Wednesday, Chicago was 10 degrees Fahrenheit colder than Antarctica. At the moment, the vortex looks like two swirling blobs of cold air, one settled over North America, the other over Eurasia, said Jennifer Francis, the senior scientist at the Woods Hole Research Center. It splits up when there's sudden stratospheric warming. There it is. So it's splitting up because there's warmer than usual air over the Arctic, and it's basically pushing that cold air south. Here's a nice little one. The polar vortex is in an area of low pressure and extremely cold air that swirls over the Arctic. 2, disturbances in the jet stream and the intrusion of warmer air can disturb this polar vortex, sending Arctic air south into the middle latitudes. Then masses of extremely cold air have plunged towards the interior of North America, and at least 90 million Americans could experience temperatures at or below zero. Now, when was the last time that Texas experienced a storm like this? I'm not even sure myself. I didn't find that information, but it is certainly something that we could look into, because what is it a polar vortex? Is this something that's going on? Is it global warming? Well, I mean, it says right here, like, is this weather linked to climate change? Let's see what it says. Studies have pointed to a recent increase in instances where the polar vortex has bulged down into heavy populated areas. Scientists are gaining a better understanding of why this is happening, with many identifying climate change as an influence. There is some evidence that the jet stream, a meandering air current that flows over North America and Europe, is slowing and becoming wavier as the planet warms. The jet stream interacts with the polar vortex, helping bring numbing temperatures further south. Scientists also point to a complex sequence of events involving sea ice, which is rapidly diminishing in the Arctic. As the ice retreats, summertime heat is absorbed by the dark ocean that lies underneath. This heat is released into the atmosphere during winter, spurring winds that can disrupt the polar vortex. We aren't entirely there yet, but there's more and more support for this concept, says Francis. It's a new and developing hot research topic. Oh, it's so hot right now. Let's see. And this last section, of course, just digs at Trump. So, whatever. They love to throw those in there. I mean, it does make some sense that if the world is warming up, it's causing, a disruption in everything. The ice is melting. I've been seeing these videos of the cracking, the ice is, the ice wall cracking, the glaciers disappearing. I actually was myself standing on a glacier in Alaska about maybe 12 years ago, and the guide was telling us about how 12 years prior to that, it was double the size, and they were saying how it's been receding like crazy. And we actually had to fly in a helicopter to get to this, and as we approached it, I wish I have pictures of it somewhere. I wish I could have brought those out. That would have been perfect to show you, but as we approached, the guide was telling us, over the helicopter mics, if you look at the sides of this valley, and it came down to a lake, and you could see the edges of the mountain that was kind of on, there was two, I wouldn't say mountains, but it was two hills, and you could see the glacier going up, but on the side of the mountain, you could see this line, and he said the glacier used to be that height, and it's just gotten so low, and that lake wasn't there before. So it's straight up melting into a lake that's in Alaska. Now, this was 12 years ago. And I saw this and I was like, wow, that's pretty insane to see this, that it's melting. And there was actually a small glacier that was on top of this resort. I stayed in a ski town, Girdwood, it's called, in Alaska. And there was the ski hill behind. And this was the summertime, mind you. So it wasn't necessarily that cold, but there was still snow. But we went up to the top of this mountain. I don't want to say mountain, because we mountain biked up to the top, and there was a tiny little glacier, and they were like, look, this is actually a glacier. It was probably about the size of a house, not very big. They're like, yeah, it used to be a lot bigger, and it'll probably be gone. It's probably gone now. So there's no doubt in my mind that the world is changing, and it's like the internet. We're still learning how it's affecting us all, how to change society to fit with it. It's kind of the same with the way the world is shifting as far as the weather goes, this global warming stuff. It's kind of, I don't know when it's going to end, when it's going to settle, how many species on this planet are actually going to go extinct, because we are living in a mass extinction event. Like, animals are going to extinct all the time. I was in a museum years ago, and they have a ticker going on, like, this is how many species just went extinct right now as you read this, and it's just like a number that's rolling and getting. It's just like, this is actually happening. But like, look at what we're doing. We're scraping the bottom of the ocean to get shrimp, just trolling the bottom of the ocean, destroying everything in its path, all the ecosystem that's in the bottom. We're ripping apart forests for palm oil. Now I say we because human beings, I'm a part of that. I'm using this microphone. I'm using a monitor. Like, I don't know what of the camera that I'm looking into. Like, I don't know what of this stuff, was mined out of an area that, now that pushed animals out or made them extinct, or child labor. Like, man, we've got a problem in society, and it's many faceted, right? I'm trying to stick more on the weather patterns on Earth. So I don't know when it's going to end. When I was living in California, I don't know, this was 5 years ago, mind you. I read an article about a new desalination plant. They were pulling water out of the ocean because California had a water issue. So they were pulling ocean water, taking out the salt, and they had fresh water, and just dumping the salt back into the ocean. And it was creating these dead zones. And then you think about the dead zones from the fertilizer from the mid of America going down into the Gulf of Mexico. Dead zones. It's like we're creating these. There's so many different examples. Greenpeace. Say what you will about Greenpeace, but they actually stopped many different countries from dumping toxic waste into the oceans. Back in the day, like in the 80s, they would straight up dump toxic barrels, waste, into the ocean and just let them drop to the bottom. That's messed up. I mean, I have a lot of things to say about that, but I'm just going to say but that's the case. They were actually doing that. So they stopped this from happening. So we got to get our act together. I'm not saying I don't want to get off fossil fuels. Or I do want to get off fossil fuels, but we have to recognize that it's not going to be like that. We have to have a viable other option. We have to have jobs for people to work on. Like Biden got rid of the pipeline, 70,000 jobs like that, just gone. I'm sure it's going to get worse. And then, of course, China, like Myanmar, there's a whole coup. Well, turns out there was an oil pipeline going through Myanmar to go to China. And it's like, when you really start looking at it all, it's all about oil. It's all about, the energy. That's really what it is. Energy. That's where the money's at. That's why Tesla got denied. JP Morgan said, hey, Tesla, how can I monetize this? Tesla's like, this is free energy. I'm literally sending out energy from his Wardcliffe coil. And they're like, whoa, no. We can't charge people for this. I can't make money. How can I monetize this? I have to monetize it. It's all about the money. We need to find a way to make energy for everyone lucrative. As messed up as that is, that's how change happens. People follow the money. I mean, and we can't change that. These communists are like, well, give it things to everyone. Okay, well, who's going to do the dirty work? Who's going to, someone's always going to be in charge. Someone's going to know how to make things work, and they're going to have to tell others how to do things, and which inevitably will end to someone thinking they know how to do everything and tell everyone what to do, and then look at the past history of communism. Come on. Now, I'm clearly spinning around right now. Stream of consciousness, really, I'm just kind of flowing with it. But it as all things in life, everything has 1,000 different answers, 1,000 problems that you can't pick one and just go, there's the answer. We have to cumulatively all shift in the right direction. And right now, all I see is battling. People are just battling each other. And we have to figure out how to end that because it's ridiculous. It's actually a pretty good segue. Look at this. I'm going to talk about this war on race because it's getting ridiculous. I hate this conversation. I'm so over it. I want people to understand that the most people I see screaming about race and differences among race is these radical leftists, these Democrats, these people that are on the far left that are like, you're racist when you're not recognizing that everyone is a different race and there's some races that are superior to others. Like, who's the supremacist? You guys on the far left are the ones saying this stuff. What? Like, I can't, look at this. Look at it. I'm so fed up with this. Math is racist now. White supremacy culture shows up in math classrooms when students are required to show their work. What? This is from equitablemath.org. A pathway to equitable math instruction. Dismantling racism in mathematics instruction. What? What? That's a very long article, so I'm not going to read it all. But this person, Zaid Jilani, sorry if I said your name wrong, just pulled the perfect spot out. Check this out. Yep, this is just, how do I track what students know? Students are required to show their work. Yeah, that's actually a good way to seeing if they understand the curriculum, and what you're trying to teach them is the process of solving problems, solving math problems. How is that white supremacy? It's literally them trying to understand if the student has understood the process that the teacher is showing them. That has nothing to do with race, period. The fact that they're putting this into the situation is them just grasping at literally anything that they can. Oh, it gets so much worse. This is Carlin B posted this up. Shout out to Carlin. She's a normally my Thursday regular guest. Fantastic doctor, joins me a lot, and she posted this morning, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. It's from Christopher Rufo. The principal of East Side Community School in New York sent white parents this tool for action, which tells them they must become white traitors and then advocate for full white abolition. This is the new language of public education. This is ridiculous. It's showing the 8 white identities. And it goes from white supremacists, white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical, white traitor, and white abolition. This is a quote here. There is a regime of whiteness, and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. It's about time we build ethnogeography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others. Wow. This is, for a lack of better word, racist. This is racist. I'm just the only thing I can think of. This is racist. They're trying to make all white people just villains. If you're white now, you did something wrong. What did I do wrong? I haven't done anything. Yeah, I'm white. Okay. I don't identify as being white. I don't even think about the fact that I'm white. I just think that I'm a human being trying to get by in this world. That's what we should be teaching people. Look, you're a human. You got to work hard for what you want, and if you work hard, you can get it. That's what we need to be teaching. 2 + 2 = 4. Remember that whole thing? Straight up. Well, 2 + 2 can equal 5. It depends on, the perspective. It's like, no, 2 + 2 = 4, period. It's just ridiculous. So here's oh man, they go into it, man. The 8 white identities, they get into it. They talk about it all. the supremacist, clearly white society that preserves, names, and values white superiority. The only people I see out there trying to convince that white people are superior are the far left, are these extremists on the left saying white people are better than everyone else, and we need to demonize them for it. And it's like, you're the one saying it. You're the one trying to tell everyone that that's the way it is. This is ridiculous. And then they continue. White voyeurism wouldn't challenge a white supremacist. Desires non-whiteness because it's interesting, pleasurable, seeks to control the consumption and appropriation of non-whiteness, fascination with culture. Example, consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. What? I'm like, this whole list is just so cringy. All it is them trying to convince people that white people are evil. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Look, the UFO is even pissed off. He's like, I'm out of here, man. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be on this planet. Look, the UFO. Oh, man, am I going to have issues here? I don't care. I'll do it later. This is ridiculous, yo. This is really. You know what? I'm not gonna read any more of this. I don't even want to. Look, you can find it if you want to. Look it up. Carlin actually did a great video on it. But she also brought this up. All right. This is a tweet of her responding to James Lindsay, who was responding to the initial tweet that I was just reading to you. Carlin says, as a member of my locals explains it like this. There was a German Lives Matter movement in the 1930s. They invented systemic racism to explain the behaviors of the Jews, claiming they had Jewish supremacy and Jewish privilege. That didn't work out so well. So, using the past, looking at what precedent is and how, what has happened in the past and how we can, avoid certain things that have happened. Like, we all know what happened after, the 1930s with that movement. Yeah, World War II, Nazis, actual fascists trying to delete essentially an entire society of people. I don't want to say race because we're all human race. It's like so silly that they try to divide us. I try really hard to not fall into that. But all I can think about is Gina Carano. Because she was literally calling this out with the tweet that she got fired for. I'm not joking. I actually have it here. Look at this. So this is the thing that she I think it was, she retweeted or she was on her fleet or something. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where the Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? She was asking, it was a question. It's supposed to make you critically think, look at what's going on, and look at history, and look at the comparison. What are they doing right now? They are basically creating this war on people who are white. Wokeism is now anti-white. If you're white, you have privilege and you are, for their own words, superior, which is just obnoxious because nobody is superior. Nobody. I'll say that again. Nobody is superior to anyone else. Okay? That is a perception unto itself. The people who succeed, they have to work for it. Look at these CEOs. They work 70-hour weeks. They're constantly working. They have to work their butts off. I don't care what color you are, what gender you are. It doesn't matter. You got to work to have that kind of job. Tim Pool, I see people ragging on him all the time. That guy never stops working. He's up in the morning, is reading the news, digging in, doing videos, constantly, nonstop, every single day for 10, maybe not exactly 10 years, but he works for it. He works for the success that he's created. Doing a show every day, this is not, it's not easy to do this. finding the right subjects, coming up with different things to talk about. It's not easy. You got to work for it. But one thing we got to do is remember the past, learn from history, and not repeat it, right? That's what Gina was pointing out. She got canceled for it, which is ridiculous. I can't believe it. You know, we got to look at it all and see that they're actually demonizing people that don't deserve it. I'm sure they got me on their list. They probably don't like me just because of straight up this episode. I'm sure I pissed them off sometimes. I posted, so Black History Month is this month, right? And I posted, you should watch Uncle Tom. It's an incredible story of the history of what Black Americans had to go through to get from real segregation, slavery, to where they are now. And it's an incredible story. And if you haven't seen it, you should see it because it's an incredible story. And man, I had some people coming after me. I'm like, what are you coming after me for? Wait, there's straight up a person on there calling me a racist for posting that. It's like, what? You realize I'm actually saying, like, this is actually an incredible story from back when there was, like, racism was normal in this country. And slavery was a thing. But we beat slavery. They used the Constitution. It was the Democrats, by the way, that wanted to keep slavery. And they don't want you recognizing that. Bringing up Joe Biden, one of the most racist government employees I've ever seen. This isn't crazy. I'm not going to apologize to anyone for the color of my skin. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think anyone should. Period. It's something you can't change. We shouldn't be, things that you can't change in yourself. The color of your skin. For number one, first and foremost, you can't change that. Why would you ever ridicule anyone for that or hold them on some higher or lower standard? It's ridiculous that people do this. And I just find it ridiculous that these people are forcing it upon others. And it's the people on the far left. Yep, it's these people on the far left that are doing it. It's pretty insane. And it's freaking lies. I'm so fed up with these lies. Look at this. I'm gonna all right, so I'm killing it with the segues today. Because it doesn't stop. Hold on, let me just get this out of the way. This is what started me off on this. Shout out to Kim Klacik, because she's awesome. I got to meet her when she was on the Timcast show. I think it was in September or something. She stopped by when we were still in New Jersey. And she has this great quote here that Real America's Voice posted. Now that Trump's attorneys proved the impeachment manager's doctored evidence, when will they be charged and removed from office? Republicans on Capitol Hill, here's your chance. Bring each manager in to answer questions publicly for the changes. Yeah, they changed and doctored stuff. Here's the first example I've got. This is from Jennifer Lynn Lawrence, who Donald Trump retweeted. She said, I have never been verified on Twitter, so why did my tweet used in the fact-free impeachment include a verification badge? Excuse me. I'm assuming Democrats faked it like they are faking the whole case. Swalwell, did you add a verified badge to my tweet in your presentation? Look at this. This is directly from it. Now we will bring to D.C. on January 6th and proudly stand beside you. Thank you for fighting for us. Fighting for us. Fighting for us. What does that sound familiar? Oh, right, because the Democrats have been telling everybody to fight against Donald Trump for years and years. In fact, they had a video. It was like 6 to 7 minutes long of just showing most of the Democrats that were in the room telling their supporters that they're not going to stop fighting and you must fight. Kamala Harris said, yeah, they're going to be in the streets. They're not even going to stop. I don't blame them. And they're not going to stop before the election, not going to stop after the election. Like, so you're condoning the violence from your side of the aisle? But when people say, we're so happy you're fighting for us, Donald Trump, which is not the literal sense of physically fighting. Well, you see Trump fighting people physically? No. He's going up against big tech. He's going up against these rhinos, the sitting Democrats that are trying to take power from everyone. And here, and they don't care what they do. Case in point, they're changing evidence. They clipped speeches. Like, how many people have you heard? Well, Trump said that there's good people on both sides. And he also condemned neo-Nazis and white supremacists, white nationalists in the same sentence. But they cut it out because they don't want people seeing that side of it. He was talking about the people that just didn't want the statue to be taken down. They even had a permit to be there. And he straight up said the neo-Nazis should be condemned outright. Good riddance to them. I agree with him. And they don't want people to see that. So they took his speech, which I stood in the crowd listening to him on January 6th. Not once did I go, wow, that's inciting violence. No. He said peacefully protest, peacefully and patriotically have our voices be heard. He said it peacefully. We're going to go over there and peacefully, patriotically, by protesting. That's the First Amendment. That's our right as Americans, as human beings. But they tried to change it so that it was inciting violence. They literally altered evidence. Like, for example, here's another example. This one really pisses me off. Here, wait, hold on, let me find it. Yeah. New York Times retracts claim that Capitol Police officer was killed by a Trump supporter with a fire extinguisher. They've been shoving this down everyone's throat for a month straight. They killed a police officer. No mention of defunding the police. Now, of course, they support the police, which is ridiculous. Now, it's a shame that anyone dies. People die, all right? There is a reality to understanding that people die. It's a shame that people died, but Tucker Carlson is now trying to be canceled because he straight up called them out for it also. Only one person was shot inside the Capitol or killed inside the Capitol. The other people that died, one died from a heart attack, wasn't even near the Capitol. One other person had a stroke, and it turns out this Capitol police officer returned to the job after the fact. The New York Times issued a correction on Sunday after it was revealed that the Capitol Police officer who they reported had been killed by supporters of former President Donald Trump after being bludgeoned with a fire extinguisher actually died of a different cause. That's correct. Let's see here. Law enforcement officials initially said Mr. Sicknick was struck with a fire extinguisher, but weeks later, police sources and investigators were at odds over whether he was hit. The story now reads, medical experts have said he did not die of blunt force trauma. The article initially stated that Sicknick died from brain injuries he sustained after Trump loyalists who overtook the complex struck him in the head dead with a fire extinguisher. The paper used anonymous sources to substantiate their claim. The article was later cited by a variety of mainstream media outlets without questioning the reporting of the paper. His death was even brought up by the Democrats during Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate. What a surprise. Investigators have found no evidence of trauma sustained by blows to the head, and nobody has been arrested in connection to Sicknick's alleged murder. In fact, Sicknick had returned to his job after the Capitol riot and texted his brother that aside from being pepper sprayed twice, he was otherwise in good shape. What? He returned to work and actually was texting with his brother saying, yeah, I'm in good shape. Like, everything's good. What? So they were politically using this man's name as a martyr to shove it down people's throats? If I was one of his family members, I would be pissed. How dare you use my brother's name as a political martyr for your war against your enemies that you're creating? That's what they did. How dare you, Democrats? You should be ashamed of yourself. Look, I support the blue. All right? I understand the need for police officers in our society. I mean, I lived in dangerous areas. I've been shot at. I'm not joking. I've been shot at before. I've been in sketchy situations. All right? I grew up outside Philadelphia in not so great of areas. I mean, where I lived was actually quite nice, but I ventured out into not so safe of places. Chicago, talk about Chicago. I'm from Chicago. All right. It was one of the most dangerous cities in America. It's high on the list still. They call it Chirac for a reason. Look, don't you dare think I'm saying anything about any race issue. No. Everybody, anybody, any race, all humans have the ability to be bad or good, period. I'm not talking about race. I'm just talking about society in general, okay? Police officers, I respect the police, okay? They're there for a reason, all right? We need them. But when you use their death, how did he die? He died of a stroke. He died of a stroke. How do we know when there's absolutely no proof? There's no proof about him being hit at all. In fact, it doesn't say in this article, but the medical examiner said there's absolutely no blunt force trauma anywhere on his entire person. He wasn't beaten at all. Okay? And now it's a sad thing. I think he was in his mid-40s. So to die of a stroke, that's a shame. But I don't know anything about his history, his health, or where he was at. But I know that he returned to work and was texting his brother that he was all good. He wasn't beaten to death like the news has been shoving down everyone's throat for a month. The Democrats just lie. They are just shoving everything they can. Oh, what's this? Oh, Pelosi calls for a commission to investigate the January 6th attack. She compares the January 6th attack to 9/11. We need a 9/11 type commission to investigate and report on facts because it's a domestic terrorist attack. No, it wasn't. They were peacefully walking through the cordoned off areas. There was a bunch of people smoking joints in the Redonda. What? What terrorist attack? It's getting embarrassing to the Democrats. AOC, the whole thing about her, I thought I was going to get killed. She was actually back in her office before they even got into the Capitol building. So that whole lie that she was lying, do we forget this? Man, Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. They should be embarrassed on the national stage for what they're doing. It's getting ridiculous now. I can't believe it. But at least there's a little bit of shining hope. Look at this. Florida Governor DeSantis goes to war against big tech, citing the censorship of Trump. This is a great story. Florida governor launched an offensive against big tech on Tuesday, warning that the social media platforms are targeting politicians like former President Donald Trump now, but will soon be coming for regular American citizens, vowing to combat the threat. Today, they may come after someone who looks like me. Tomorrow, they may come after someone who looks like you, DeSantis, a Republican, said during a news conference outside the state capitol as he announced the Transparency in Technology Act. The governor said he intends to protect privacy from the oligarchs in Silicon Valley, Google, Facebook, Twitter, because the platforms have changed from neutral platforms to enforcers of preferred narratives. Couldn't have said it better myself. He's absolutely right. They are the enforcers of the preferred narrative. If you go against the narrative, they get rid of you. Why am I still on this platform? I have no idea. Why I'm still on Twitter? I have no idea. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep speaking out. It's like people are like, well, why are you on those platforms? Well, yeah, okay, I'm on other platforms. Do you follow me there too? I'm on Gab. I'm on Parler, which just came back today, actually, although it's not letting me log in for some reason. I'm on Locals, which is a great place to get a hold of me. I tend to go to my Locals For the more personal interactions, I actually post a little more, private videos from the things that I do around this house. And it's kind of a good way to support me as well. You can support me on Locals. I mean, I'm on Minds as well. And you can find me at other places, and I post there. But right now, Twitter is where all the politicians are at. All of the... I have a large following on Twitter. I have a large following on YouTube. I do post my videos on other places. It's on Library and Odyssey right now. They automatically get uploaded over there. If you don't want to support YouTube, you can watch my clips over there if you'd like, by all means. But they're winning. They're getting rid of the people that they don't want. Look at Gina. Although, shout out to her perseverance. Her and the Daily Wire are about to make a movie, which I'm pretty excited about. But he goes, where is it? He says that he wants to fine them. As part of his measure, DeSantis suggested fines of $100,000 per day for deplatforming political candidates, as well as daily fines for any company that uses their content and user-related algorithms to suppress or prioritize the access of any content related to a political candidate or cause on the ballot. Dude, DeSantis, man. That dude is impressing me. They've been like, well, how come you don't take the vaccine? He's like, because I'm healthy. And there is, it's Florida. It's like, they called it the geriatric state for a reason. Like, a lot of old people go there to retire because it's warm. That's like the number one. It's warm. A bunch of other old people live there. You get on a boat. You can relax. It's nice. I've lived in Florida for I've lived in different areas in Florida. I lived in Miami for a little bit with Tim, actually. He had a house in Miami-Dade, out in the Redlands. And that was an interesting time in my life. We actually tried to start the show. This was like 4.5 years ago. We wanted to start a show then, and that didn't work out. And then, well, we started a show, and we all know how that worked out. But anyway, yeah, Florida. So yeah, whatever. I'm fed up with the Dems. I'm fed up with mainstream media, just abusing the system. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think DeSantis is doing the right thing, calling them out. We got to keep calling them out. All right. I can't believe I've been ranting all day. I really want to get to this space stuff, but there's a lot here. So I keep pushing it back. I think I'm going to talk about it tomorrow and just maybe do a space episode. Because there's so much stuff to talk about tomorrow, or this week. We got Perseverance landing. We got a new propulsion system that they're trying to work on, nuclear and magnetic energy. Very, very cool stuff. And the Artemis program, they're planning on putting humans on the moon by 2024. They're sticking to that plan. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. Oh, my goodness. Go on Tim's show tonight? Yeah, that's not happening. I have zero interest. Mark Robichaud. PewDiePie dropped a diss track. That man is living. Did he really? I don't watch his stuff. I don't know aliens. All right, I'll talk about one thing. NASA unveils new plans for moon base to be the gateway to the rest of the solar system. This is very cool. NASA has revealed the priorities for the Artemis 2 mission, which will take the first woman and next man to the moon. This includes bringing back 85 kilograms of lunar samples from the surface and subsurface of the moon, 21 kilograms more than was originally collected by the Apollo missions. The samples collected could contain evidence of water and other chemicals, which could help scientists develop plans for missions into deeper space. NASA also aims to establish an Artemis base by the end of the decade, located at the lunar South Pole, as well as conducting experiments to understand the origin of the sun and our astronomical environment. This could increase human understanding of how the moon formed and evolved, how it interacted with the sun, and how water and other resources developed on the moon and are preserved. The moon holds vast scientific potential, and astronauts are going to help us enable that science, said Thomas Zurbuchen. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry if I botched it. Associate Administrator for NASA's Science Mission Directorate. Even before Artemis 3 lands, our agency's science and human exploration teams are working together as never before to ensure that we leverage each other's strengths. This report helps outline a path forward toward that compelling science we can now contemplate doing on the lunar surface in conjunction with human explorers. And then we have where is it? This is cool. So this is basically their path. And NASA showed this the other day. And it's essentially their phases to get from, you can see on the left, well, actually right behind my face, it says, right about right here, it says 2020. So it goes from 2020 over to 2024. And Artemis 1, the first human spacecraft to the moon in the 21st century. Artemis 2, first humans to orbit the moon in the 21st century. Artemis support mission, first high-powered solar electric propulsion, SEP system. Artemis support mission, first pressurized module delivered to Gateway. Artemis support mission, human landing system delivered to Gateway. Now, just to let you know what the NASA Gateway is, essentially, it's interesting because they're not building it themselves. They're actually outsourcing this stuff. All right, they're using the commercial market to, instead of spending all the money to research, they are saying, we're going to hire someone else. We don't know who it is, but hey, private companies, we're going to be hiring someone to build what is essentially a new space station that's going to orbit the moon. And they call it the Gateway. And it's interesting because I had the Lunar Gateway guys on my show a couple times, and they are trying to build basically a lunar elevator and also a moon, space station, essentially, to be that point of, you go there and then the elevator takes you down to the moon. So instead of having to land on the moon back and forth, you go to the space station and the lunar elevator will take you down to it. It's a very interesting article. You can find it in interviews in my playlist if you want to go back to it. But it's interesting. But at the end here, it's got humans on the moon by 2024, which is very, very cool if you ask me. I don't know if you know this about me. I love space. And in fact, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was my first thing I remember wanting to be as a kid. I looked at them, I'm like, how do I become an astronaut? How do I get into space? This is like my dream. This is what I want. Well, a lot of astronauts started in the Air Force as pilots because you got to be able to learn how to fly and trajectories and all that good stuff. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to join the Air Force. And I actually had an uncle who was in the Air Force. I have a very high respect for military in general. I even have a flag that was flown for me from the Air Force on the wall behind me. I have a high respect for it, but I learned that they don't. I don't know if this is true anymore, but I heard when I was a kid that if you're colorblind, you can't be a pilot. I was devastated. Have you ever seen Little Miss Sunshine? I think that's the movie. I'm pretty sure it's Little Miss Sunshine. There's a moment in the movie where I think Steve Carell's character tells the kid, or maybe it's the grandfather who tells him. I don't remember exactly, but there's a kid like 10 years old. I was like, that was me in this movie. He wants to be an Air Force pilot and is told that you're colorblind, you can't be an Air Force pilot. And the kid freaks out, starts screaming, just goes nuts. I mean, I didn't have that same reaction, but I was devastated because that was what I wanted to do, and it changed the whole trajectory of my life. So I gave up trying to join the Air Force. It was kind of a sad day for me. I do remember that. I remember the day that I found out, and it was a really big bummer. All right, I'm going to get into some Super Chat. Oh, No Fun, No Hope says, that's where I heard it from. Yeah, cool. Yep, exactly. So I was pretty bummed about it. I was pretty bummed about it. All right, so I had to do a little bit of space stuff. So that was the Artemis missions. Now I have some more stuff I'm going to talk about tomorrow about new space propulsion stuff that they're working on. It's a little more detailed oriented, a lot of stuff to go over. So it would have taken me a long time to. I didn't expect. I guess I had a lot of subjects today that I was ranting about. So, but I'll definitely. I've got some more stuff to talk about tomorrow. All right, I'm Not Your Buddy Guy. I feel like the perfect song for our time is Mad World by Gary Jules. Yeah, maybe. Mark G says, my Crigler coffee was delayed by the Ice Age event. Egads. This is a declaration of war by the North Pole, and I demand that we nuke the polar caps until I get my coffee. Mark G, I apologize. I cannot control the weather. I do have some delicious coffee beans, though. I'll tell you that. Mavis says, Texas was colder than New York this morning. Someone said it was 6 degrees there, and it was 20 degrees here. Wow. Yeah. I got a buddy of mine who was out of power. Yeah, he lives out in the country. No power. It's pretty crazy. Toxic Masculinity just asked in chat, do you have the color correcting glasses? I actually have tried them. Nisha got them for me for Christmas, and nothing changed. I'm a little bummed about it. No joke. I put them on. I guess you need to wear them for a long time. So I woke up and I wore them for like the day. And I even had them on the show. I don't know, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, sadly, I don't see that much of a difference. And I'm not like fully colorblind, like black and white. But I'm slightly colorblind with like reds and greens. I think it's the proto something colorblindness. Yeah. Shanjak says, found someone you might want to interview. Natalia Bailey regarding rocket engines and electric spacecraft propulsion. That is exactly what I was going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow because it's very cool. But if I can get an expert on it, that would be fantastic. Shanjak, if you know how I can get a hold of Natalia, let me know. AdamCastIRL@gmail.com. Feel free to email me and let me know. That'd be great. Chef de Jour says, it's 28 degrees inside my house because of power outages. That is cold enough to freeze soft serve ice cream. My porch is covered in snow. Wow. Well, I hope you don't freeze yourself, Chef de Jour. Jay Higgins says, you should look up the origins of Halloween once. Holidays get so twisted now. Have a good stream. Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate that. Yeah, as I'm looking up everything, it's all different, right? History is always twisted and used to look at what the Democrats are doing and the way that they're portraying what happened. It's ridiculous. Oh, history. History. Mark G says, bones and effects of a saint are relics. Also, we believe that the Eucharist is the actual body and blood of Christ. Catholicism can seem pretty morbid. So they're relics. They're no longer remnants of his actual body. It's a little odd still. Ryan Schaefer says, give your mom a big hug and kiss and listen to Fear from Tech 9. Tearjerker for sure, but good. Someone actually suggested Tech 9 to me, and I checked out his music. I like it. I like Tech 9. That's quality music a lot. I grew up listening to, smaller bands. I would say Atmosphere. A lot of people know they're kind of big-ish now. Maybe not. I don't know. Atmosphere is like big in the underground realm. It's not like super mainstream, but if you like good hip hop music, you'll know Atmosphere and be like, yeah, I like Atmosphere. Like Sage Francis. I grew up listening to those guys. I even had some friends that were in a band called Trauma, and they were awesome. Shout out to Trauma. I got some, they'd probably not listen to this show, but they were awesome growing up. I still listen to their album. Turk says, and Tech 9. Very similar to that kind of old school hip hop that just has a good flow, solid, like Tribe Called Quest, just a good feeling. I like it a lot. Yeah, so I'll check that out. Fear from Tech 9. I don't want to forget that. I want to check that out. I like Tech 9. All right. Turk says, you always come back to positivity. Oorah. Yeah, exactly. Why would you choose to be negative? It's a choice. I actually have a tattoo on my arm that you can't see. It says, I am. Now people are like, whoa, is that religious? Are you, is it some sort of religious thing? Because I guess there's a statement in the Bible about I am being I don't exactly know what it is, but no, it's a state of mind. What are you? What are you? You choose who you are, what you are, and it's like the Forge. You choose to how you handle things. You got to be accountable for your own actions, your own choices, and people aren't nowadays. But you are also responsible for your own state of mind. Now, I admit it can be harder for some more than others because mental illness is tragically very prevalent in our day and age. So, I'm just saying. It's a state of mind. Mark G says the answer is nuclear power using thorium. Yeah, that's oh man, there's so much to go over with the space stuff that I had to cut it into 2 segments. So tomorrow I'm gonna go into more stuff. Uncle Lou says I sim for nuclear. Yeah, right on. J Vita, so much for global warming. Also grateful for you and your show, Adam. Keep on keeping on, brother. Thank you, Javita. Appreciate that. Hydro says right now the best thing is unclear fusion, but the goal is making it nuclear fusion. I could have them mixed up. Yeah, there's some fusion stuff that we're going to talk about tomorrow with what we're talking about. John L. said, Adam, I must have listed A Song with No Name 50 times over the weekend. That track slaps. How about Wide-Eyed Traveler for the name? Interesting. Thank you. So for those who don't know, there's a guitar song that I have that doesn't have words. It's it's just a song that I wrote on the subway in New York City, and it's about moving. Wide-Eyed Traveler. I kind of like that. Yeah, maybe I'll think about it. John Smith says Tom McDonald in the chat. I love Tom McDonald. Yeah, he reminds me of, he doesn't swear. Well, he actually does swear, but his radio edits are just as good. He doesn't need to swear, but on his albums there is some swears. But the message, I mean, you cannot deny Tom's message, man. Tom McDonald just drops fire. If you haven't heard Fake Woke, go listen to it. In fact, go back and look at his discography of all the different stuff. The first thing I ever heard of Tom McDonald's was Exposure. Brutal. Calling out the music industry, calling out these people that these young people look up to and learn terrible things from their idols who are spitting stuff about doing drugs and idolizing, sex and just the wrong things in life. I could rant about how awesome Tom is for a long time. He's definitely one of my favorite artists today. Turk, thank you for becoming a member. Heyo. Vods says hello. Hello there. Chef de jour says 2010 we got a foot of snow. First time I have ever seen that and felt powdered snow. In 2014 we had an ice storm. Looked like snow, but it was ice. Wow, interesting. All right. Very cool. Yeah, Rex Banner says, I am is in the Bible for when Jesus said before Abraham was I am. Yeah, thank you. I knew it was something like that, yeah. Yeah, Hangover Gang. Did they really cancel Tom McDonald? You cannot cancel Tom McDonald. You cannot cancel him. And he can't be president, by the way, because he's Canadian. But, yeah. Let's see, where were we? Blackwell Disco says the song about the snow is finally on Spotify called Diamond in the Sky, about a beanie-clad vegan flying through space on a spinning UFO. Spin it! Oh, I have to check that out. All right, for those who don't know, Blackwell Disco is a musician, and I am going to check out your song here, Diamond in the Sky. I like it. Blackwell Disco. All right, I'm going to check that out after the show. Hopefully I can find it. And I have to fix the UFO because it's currently not in spinning mode. Come on. Oh, that took no time at all. This is for you, Disco. Oh, yeah. Spin it. Hydro says, look for peer-reviewed articles and read up about those things. Don't believe what people tell you. Oh, I'm not sure what you were referring to, but Maybe we were talking about this ridiculous articles about race. Mark G says America has made improvements in environmental health, but there are some countries that need to do better. China. That was the super chat. Just acted it out. K. Leo says, what fuels were the dinosaurs burning that got the Earth out of the Ice Age? It's cyclical. You give humans too much credit and not enough to nature. That's a good point. I don't know, what the Earth is. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not, an expert on anything, really. I just do the best I can to understand the things that I'm reading about and talk to you about them all. Oh, I just have a super chat jump. Give me a second while I find where were we? My goodness, what a big super chat jump. Thank you all for super chatting me. You guys are the best. Mark G says, skin color only matters for sunlight levels. Okay. Simping for Joe Biden says, all this division of race is just propaganda by the CCP meant to destroy American society and the country itself. Sad people can't see it. That I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Them trying to keep us at odds with each other so that we don't become unified and strong, and we could be so strong, but people want to keep us weak. And he says, power off in Texas for 16 hours now. Historical cold. Keep on the good work for speaking the truth. Uncle Tom's Cabin is literary history. Yeah, that's true. Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's what Uncle Tom comes from. It's a book that was written back in the 1900s, I think. But yeah, great. And if you haven't watched Uncle Tom, it's an incredible documentary. Durner says, if a police officer had been beaten to death, don't you suppose that we would have seen indictments and 24/7 coverage of the suspects? Yeah, exactly. But he wasn't. And there was no proof of it. And they walked back their story. Yesterday, after the failed impeachment of Trump, they were like, well, I guess we don't need this BS story anymore. We'll come out with the truth. John L. says, the worst thing done in the rotunda was someone dropped a deuce on the floor. The amount of blow in that building, a turd, was an improvement. Did someone really... Are you serious? Did someone actually poop in the rotunda? I didn't see that, but that's pretty hilarious. Jason Von Voris, I see you in chat over there. Hold on, where's my... Oh, here it is. All right, chat. Jason, this is for you. You better start guessing. I just rolled. I've rolled the dice. Get guessing, everyone, and keep reading while you guys do your guessing. All right, let's see. Mark G says, skip politics, do the space only episode. Yeah, tomorrow I'm definitely be hyping about space. I'm gonna ask Ian to come on the show because there's actually some new advancements in graphene. All right, now Ian loves his graphene, right? He talks about that graphene. So we're gonna get into graphene and stuff. And hopefully Ian will join me. That'd be cool to have him back on the show. All right, here comes the numbers rolling in. Oh, nice. We got a winner. Jake. Congratulations, Jake. It was one. You won, Jake. I'm really proud of you. Very early on. I don't have to wait and watch people guess wrong numbers. Congratulations, Jake. You won absolutely nothing. But I did say your name, and you have the boost of winning the dice game. Congratulations. All right, Michael Wilson says, in class, they said racism didn't exist until America made it exist. They are turning our country into a factory that produces factory workers. My goodness, man. They really are trying to just shove it down everyone's throats. They're just convincing everyone that America's racist. And it's like, no, the only racists that I see are these far leftists trying to convince everyone that everyone's racist. They're the racists. Fatty B says, I got $100 saying Trump gets impeached and acquitted again in the next 5 years. Any takers? I don't want to take that bet. Chrissy says, I got bullied for being white as a mixed-raced kid. Now I'm accused of being a white supremacist. Come on, I can't be both. May the force be with you. Well, thank you. If I were to be a Jedi, I would be a gray Jedi. And yeah, that's a shame. You know, there's no winning with these people. You can't. Seriously, they either they just want to maintain the victimhood. They want to maintain their power over others because they're victims. Look at Cyberpunk, for example. The trans community was represented. You can be a man or a woman, but you can change your genitals to however you want. You can actually have nothing there if you want. It's like they were represented in ads, and they were angry. They were like, how it wasn't enough. Well, what do you want? You were being represented. There was sexual ads all over the place for guys, women, and what was clearly a trans person. And it's like, you were being represented, and you still got upset. There's not enough for them because they need to be angry. They need to be victims. Because you take that away, they have nothing. It's their everything. That's the whole issue. They are creating their entire identity about something that they're saying you can't change. Okay, well, if you can't change it, that shouldn't be what you identify. Your everything, your whole image is just that. Okay, well, when everyone accepts that, then they have literally nothing. And that is what they're afraid of. They can't give in, because when we finally accept, all right, well, everyone accepts you. Well, then I literally have nothing. I'm a nobody now, because that's it. That's the only thing I had, was being angry at the others for not accepting me. It's like, okay, well, if people accept you, what do you got? And they can't lose that. Matthew says, hey, Adam, I just wanted to know if you're ever going to reach out to Styx Hexenhammer and get him on your stream. I would love to have Styx on the show. I love his stuff. He's a great I almost said YouTuber, but he's on BitChute now, right? I mean, is he on YouTube even anymore? I'm not actually sure. But it would be cool to have Styx on the show. He definitely doesn't hold his punches, does he? Thumb Ugly says strange music, Tech 9. Chris Calico, and many others. Well, I don't know the other two, but I do like Tech 9. Chef du jour says, try the acapella group Home Free. Trust me. All right. Yeah, maybe I'll check these music people out at another time. Let me just snap those. Okay. Remember this. Let's see. Where was I? Joe, thank you for becoming a member. Hold on. I got to move my bell to a better spot. Bing, bing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's see. Mr. Paul R. says, requirements for being an Air Force pilot. Google it. Read vision requirements. Also, keep the great work. 20-year Navy veteran. Spin the UFO. I will absolutely spin the UFO for you, Mr. Paul R. A longtime watcher and super chatter. Really appreciate you. And I'm afraid to look at the Google requirements, because if I find out that I could have done it, if I, even though I was colorblind, I'm going to be really bummed. So, like, I don't even want to know. Was I wrong as a kid or something? We'll see. Maybe I should look it up. Majora's Wrath says, bad times, hard times. This is what people keep saying. But let us live well, and times shall be good. We are the times, such as we are, such are the times. St. Augustine. That's nice. I like that a lot. Kevin says, freezing ice in Rogersville, Alabama, tree limbs down and power going out everywhere around me, but my street is holding out. Thank God. Well, I'm glad that you haven't lost your power. Yeah, I hope it stays that way for you. Ribs Expose. Just finished one of Thomas Sowell's books. Seriously, his knowledge and wisdom could improve education worldwide. Yes. Yes, Thomas Sowell is amazing. Amazing. We absolutely need to... one of the greatest American minds alive today. Incredible to hear him talk about anything. Literally anything. You know, he's an incredible person that we need more people to know about. Yep. Let's see. Let's see here. Wait, hold on. Kaiser TV says, I mentioned him before, but you really should chat with Dick Masterson. Asked him. He's been on his show. Need more people talking about the OG First Amendment. Right on, right on. Yeah, I would like to. Let's see here. Arcadian Twilight, all the talk of global warming, supposedly it's staving off an ice age. They don't want Britain to get greater when the sea level drops like dubstep. I don't know if that's true. See, that would be news to me here. Mythos says, yeah, there is a mission in Cyberpunk where you help a trans woman in a race. The car you get even has a trans flag, yet they still complain. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you get that truck. It's a pretty beast truck, actually. And yeah, you find out near the end that she's trans and that, you know, she was with someone that totally supported her, and that, you know, it was like, it was kind of nice. It was a good story, and it's just like they just are so upset about losing their victimhood. I think that's really what sums it up. Let's see, Rorschach, no. Hey, Adam, first time super chat. Thank you. You want to see future potential energy? Use watch Gundam 00. Try to ignore the Gundams, especially the solar elevators. Man, so many people want me to watch Gundam. In fact, I had the space experts, a few different space experts over the years, or over the course of my show. Almost every single time people brought up Gundam, and it turns out most of them were Gundam fans. Arcadian Twilight became a member. Thank you so much. Chioma, AC. There were dangerous people at the Capitol. The media shouldn't lump everyone together, but we also can't ignore there were bad folks that day and shouldn't discount the gravity of January 6th. Okay, I agree with you there, but you also have to take into account that half of those people that were bad were instigators, were FBI people. So it's like, who really do we blame then? Because right now it's a blanket statement against all of Trump supporters, and it's so grossly inaccurate. Sonny says, we need to convince Thomas Sowell to create a children's book. Interesting. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I mean, what is he, 90 now? My goodness. It's incredible that he's still trucking along, still doing interviews, still moving. It wouldn't be surprised me if he can rock out a children's book. All right, that's my show for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I've been playing Valheim. It's a Viking survival building craft game that's really fun. I've been trying to... Oh, Cracklin, I missed your super chat. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I saw that. I'm going back. Cracklin says, that Adam Crigler is so hot right now. Nice seeing you in Nerdrotic's chat. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was fun. I like Nerdrotic. He's a straight shooter, and I like straight shooters. So, yeah, I'm glad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I don't know why I missed that. But thank you. I'm glad you said something because I saw that. All right, now I'm going to sum up the end. I got you, Cracklin. Yeah, it was cool to see a lot of people when I was just kind of responding to some of the stuff he was saying, and I was getting a lot of love from people in that show. It was really cool. So yeah, Nerdrotic is awesome, and I got to know him when I was on the Quarterings group defense of Gina episode. That was a lot of fun. And all right, well, I'll be tuning into Twitch later tonight. You can watch me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Adam Crigler, and hang out with me as I play Valheim. I try not to be political, so don't expect political talk. I get into my gaming mode, and that'll be where I'm at. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will see you tomorrow, 6:30 here on Adamcast IRL. Have a good night.